It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Canadian water polo Joelle Bekhazi. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into, of course, being a professional water polo?
Well, I started off growing up as a swimmer. So when I was 6, I started started competitive swimming. And then it was maybe around 8 to 10 years old. We have these summer pools, these summer community pools in the West Island of Montreal. And there I was a pool rat. So I did all kinds of sports. I did synchro, I did diving, I did swimming. And then around 8 years old, there was a water polo game going on, and they were like, "Joelle, you swim." And Sam Sinnott, my coach, threw me in the water and was like, "We needed an extra player, go." And I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then from there, I was like, I loved it. I was swimming up and down the pool. Like, swimming is what I do, but I was doing it with my friends. And like, I remember I never wanted to get out of the water. I never wanted the ball though, but because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was just having a blast. So like, that's kind of how I got introduced to water polo. And then I remember when I was 12, I begged my mom, "Can I switch to winter water polo?" So like competitive water polo. And then she's like, "What? No, like I need her social life of a swim mom." Like, they had more of a social life than we did. So then she said, "Okay, do one more year. If you still really love water polo, then we can do it." And then the next year came, I said again, and she went, "Okay, fine." And then from there, it was like shortly after that I started making national teams. And then my parents were like, "Oh, okay, like she might do okay." So yeah, I was at 13 when the official competitive water polo began.
Of course, what is the big difference between water polo and just regular swimming, competitive swimming?
So competitive swimming is you're in your lane. Everyone has seen swimming at the Olympics. So you see like what it is. It's you against yourself, you against the time, you against, you know what I mean? But water polo is really a team sport. There's 7 people in the water. You have an opponent. You play offense. You play defense. It's kind of like I like to compare it a bit to basketball, where you have the shot clocks and you get to do all these like picks and blocks like they do, and you play both ways. You have to play both offense and defense. But then it has strategy like hockey, like lacrosse, like handball. So it really encompasses a lot. So I think that's the difference too. Is it's a team sport versus an individual one.
How did it feel the first time you made the Team Canada?
It was honestly pretty great. I was really, really, really competitive since I was young. So for me, it was just like, yeah, this is just another step before I make that senior Olympic team, So it was like, I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm young. I was always the youngest one to start off. But I remember my first invitation was, we used to call this NORAMs, and it was all a bunch of athletes, Canadian athletes, and it was the top 60, or I don't know, we made like 5 teams. And after that training camp, I was really, really, really young, and I got MVP for most valuable defender. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, like, I think this is it. And then from then on, I just soared and I never looked back.
What was it like competing in Rio?
At the Pan American Games in 2007, Rio.
Yes.
That was my first Pan American Games. So it was the first time kind of seeing and understanding what like an Olympic Games was, and having so many other sports and all this. You saw so many countries, and it was different sports too, which is super great. Like, I had by that point only gone to a world championship, so it was just aquatics. But this was like, it was huge. You were in a village. We had a Canada house. We had Canada room. We had, and it really had this whole different dynamic where, yeah, I'm a water polo. I'm like Team Canada for water polo, but I was Team Canada. So that was, to me, it was just so beautiful. And it was great to know that, you're not in it alone. You're in it with all these other sports, and that's my teammate, even though we don't play in the water together, And I think for me, that was the coolest thing. And I was always starstruck.
Of course, can you talk about how it feels to be a 4-time silver medalist for the Pan Americans?
I mean, being a medalist is always incredible, and it's kind of tough because it's 4 silver medals, but you kind of can't. When you look back, it's still pretty amazing to know, like, you know what, you're second in the Americas, and uh, it's pretty great. It's just always losing to the US at some point kind of gets old, but being top 2 is still pretty amazing, and I have this medal for the rest of my life, so it's pretty awesome.
What did it feel the first time you put on the Team Canada swimsuit and was in the water?
Having Canada on your chest, kind of like I have now, and like having or my number, in Canada, it's a surreal feeling because it's kind of like everyone who supports you and everyone who's always been there for you. And my journey was very long, and it's kind of like they're with you. You have the country's back, like they're part of you and they're supporting you. And I think it's that. And I find Canadians, we're very proud to be Canadian. So I think that's kind of the best part, is knowing, we're very proud of our country, and getting to wear that and represent our amazing nation, I think there's nothing you can say, it's just speechless. I'm speechless. Like,
What was the preparation like preparing for this previous Olympics in Tokyo?
during the pandemic,
Hmm.
yeah, it was definitely difficult, especially in Canada. The restrictions were very, very strict. So we weren't allowed to do contact. We weren't allowed, all of Canada was locked down. We were one of the special few that got to actually train. But even then, we were training 2 meters apart, keeping social distance. So it was really difficult to be able to practice our sport, kind of, being 2 meter distance to your teammate. We can't do contact. We can't do the strategy, the tactical part of the game. So it was really like swim, pass, shoot, just working on our technical, physical skills, not so much our tactical and the gameplay. So it was only in January that we kind of said, listen, we cannot go forward like this. We're not going to be able to play at the Olympics at a high level. So we had to move out of the ones who were in Montreal, who were living with other people. So I'm living with my husband, obviously. I had to move out of my apartment in an Airbnb, and that was the only way we could like make a safe bubble, we called it. And we were able to train contact that way. So at the Institute of Sport in Quebec, so at the Olympic Stadium here, we had like special entrances. We didn't go near anyone. We had a special gym for us. Like, we were not allowed near anyone. We weren't even allowed to go grocery shopping. So we were really in a very safe, strict bubble, and we did the best we could. So that's how we finally figured out what to do. And then in May, we decided to leave for 3 months. So we left for 3 months and just started playing games against all different countries, and we called it our world tour. And that's how we prepared.
What was it like going on the world tour for 3 months?
It would have been really hard. And everyone kept saying, how are you guys going to do it? 92 days on the road, that's very unheard of. And you know what? I think the fact that it was a pandemic year and we were so used to being in lockdown, that for us, it was like, oh my God, we get to travel. We get to do all these things that, most people weren't allowed to do. So for us, we were just grateful more than anything. I was grateful to be able to get out of our country. I was grateful to be able to see humans. I was grateful to, to like live a little bit of a life, a social life, but really it was just among our team. But like, you felt less we were in Airbnbs, we were all together. So that was really nice. But I think the fact that we changed places so often, so probably every 2 weeks we were moving, it really helped. So then it felt like a honeymoon stage every time you moved somewhere new, and you had a different roommate and you had a different, so it changed the environment and it didn't get as routine.
Of course, can you talk about what it was like competing in this previous Olympics?
I mean, I'm just so grateful that it happened. And I think even though we probably weren't as prepared as we could have been with everything that happened, I'm just so grateful for Tokyo and having how they put it together and how they still let us compete at the highest level. This was the longest cycle in history. It was 5 years instead of 4 years. And I think I'm just grateful. That's really all I have to say, is I'm grateful I got to play. And for me, why I feel so accomplished to have become an Olympian is more because we brought water polo back to the stage, and Canada was able to see water polo again and inquire about it. And there was a lot of advertisement about us, and there was a lot of stuff out there. And for me, it was just the fact that we got exposure for water polo was a win for me.
How did it feel to, of course, this year play in the water polo versus, let's say, other years where you might not have had chances to play?
like to compete at the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it means everything, right? Like being able to play and to play at the highest level. And it was funny because playing during the tournament, I was like, this feels like every other tournament. It's the same teams, it's the same people, and it was just like, it was surreal. I kept waiting for the moment to hit, like, oh, I'm at the Olympics. But really, I was like, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to perform, and I'm here to just play on the highest level. And for me, I think that was the difference, I think.
What was your experience like in the Olympic Village?
That was really fun. And like I said, like I kept waiting for the moment to be like, oh my God, I'm at the Olympics. And I've been to 4 Pan American Games, 7 World Championships. There's always so many people. So like the difference was there were more people, more countries. It was like everything encompassed in one. But I think I was like sometimes starstruck by people that you saw on the street. You're like, oh my God, like, okay, that's Djokovic, or that's, Simone Biles. And you're just like, okay, that's cool. Like they're just having lunch with me. That's no big deal. But you get used to it too. And you're just like, oh yeah, it's normal. Yeah, we eat lunch together. It's fine. Like, oh, I had dinner with him. Like, oh, who cares? Like you get used to it. But it was just cool to be like, I'm here also, like you're part of it now. I will be part of this Olympic family forever.
How does it feel to always know that Olympics is behind your last name?
It just kind of puts all the hard work and the sacrifice and the choices that I decided to move forward with my whole life. There it is. There's I don't even know how to say it, but like everything you work for, it's for that in a way, and it's now showed, and the world gets to know that it wasn't my 20 years led me to this, and I'll be proud of it forever.
What was it like competing in the Olympics and having the Olympic rings on your swimsuit?
It's hard because not hard, but for me, it's been 4 cycles. I've been aiming for the Olympic dream. So it was kind of like, it's about time, like I was so emotional for 15 years and 16 years, just trying to get there. And it was like, and there they are. I finally have them. I just got a tattoo. Like I got my rings here. Like I finally got the rings, and it'll forever be part of me. And like those suits, I'm cherishing those suits forever. They're like getting framed. So I think again, it's just all the hard work is for that.
What was the game days like, and what were some of your rituals that you did?
So game days usually change depending on what time the game is. So when we had, but it kind of still, we made them work no matter what, but we usually have like a practice in the morning just to loosen out, make sure you get all the kinks out. We do a little bit of quick run throughs of man up, man down, just to move the ball a bit, and maybe work on a few things if we're doing something specific against a team. But it's just like a short hour 15, where you just get the lactic acid out, get ready to go, loosen up. And then we get back, we have lunch. Then I would usually do visualization. Then I get a prep, I call, for my massage therapist, where she like pumps up my body and she preps me. Then we have our team meeting, my coffee, of course. And then I get on the bus with my music and I go. And then like my warm-up part will always be, I always need a bit of time to just breathe. So I call it Roscoe, but I just breathe to get in the moment and be right here. And then make sure that I'm not too wired or too calm. Like I get myself to that perfect state. And then I do my activation, and that's it.
Of course, in this previous Olympics with no fans, how difficult was it, and how easy was it versus previous Olympics where there would have been fans?
Our sport isn't very popular, so I'm not really used to a lot of fans anyway. The only thing that was really hard for me was not having my family there. I was supposed to have like 11 to 12 people there, and knowing that it was also their journey with me. So it was kind of like, I felt I was more sad about that. But to be honest, when I'm in the water, I'm so focused on the task at hand, and where I'm so with the coach, with my teammates, I kind of block everything out. And whether people were there or not there, I would never be able to tell you. But I do know that when you have crazy cheering fans, it definitely gets your heart racing and you're going. And I think I just have such good self-motivation that I don't need that to get me to that level, but it is always nice to have that extra, like, oh yeah, okay, like, oh my God, you have all these people cheering you on. So yeah.
What were some of your favorite memories and moments in this previous Olympics?
Well, one of my funniest moments, actually, and I could probably say it's one of my favorites besides playing in general, was someone stole our Canadian mascot, the moose. So we have this big moose that's gone to every Olympics. Someone stole it, brought it to the Olympic rings, and I got some girls and I rallied up some troops and we saved the moose. So that's a really funny moment that I really loved. One of the saddest moments was that it was probably my last game ever playing. So that for me, the last game, the last minutes, the last moments, and just like hugging my teammates in the water, like it looked like we were celebrating as if we had won a medal, but really it was just more like the end of a cycle and the end of, they knew I was retiring. So that was it for me. I've waited my entire life to get to that point. So that was probably a really beautiful moment, but saying goodbye will always be hard. Yeah.
What was it like retiring on the biggest stage of all?
At peace, honestly, like I feel at peace. I feel like I achieved what I wanted to for all these years and why I kept going. And I'm the last one from my generation who started in 2005. And there's so many of them that will never be Olympians. And I kind of did it for us. So for me, I feel really at peace. I'm excited to see what the future holds. I'm excited to find out who Joelle Bekhazi is without water polo. They'll always be part of me though, for sure. And I want to coach and I want to stay involved. But as a member of the national team, my cap is off. Yeah.
What are some of your future plans as you just retired?
So I'm a rep for an amazing company called JOLYN, and I represent all of Canada. So that is something I'm passionate about, and I love to grow and help grow the brand. And where we have a website, we have a store, I have reps all over that go to events. So for me, it's just, I love this brand because it empowers women, and it's about women feeling beautiful in their own skin. And we make suits for all types of bodies. So for me, I have that going, which is great. And I'm still studying. So yeah.
What advice would you give future and current people looking to go into the Olympics?
Sorry?
What advice would you give future people looking to go into the Olympics?
I would say, don't get out of your own way. Don't be afraid to shine and never give up. I think we are our worst enemy most of the time.
What advice would you give people like you who were just in their last Olympics and trying to treasure the moment?
I wrote a journal throughout my world tour. I did it, but I think it's like going back and I would maybe recommend like writing down your experience and everything you went through, because I think in a couple years, like if ever you're upset or you're sad or you don't remember, like go back and read it. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime experience, or multiple times, but every Olympics I'm sure is different. And this one was a unique one and will be remembered forever. So I think it's just going back and just remembering the journey and not only the result, because we had a 5-year cycle. We had to do training in a pandemic and a lockdown. And, there's a lot to be proud of. So I think it's just like, be proud of what you've accomplished. And yeah.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
At Joelle Bekhazi on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, I just don't have TikTok.
Thank you again, Joelle Bekhazi, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as you get prepared for your next chapter.
Thank you so much.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Joelle, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.